She was the teenage queen with diamond-studded gowns, towering wigs and a price tag that infuriated a nation. But was Marie Antoinette truly the selfish royal who said, "Let them eat cake"? Or has history turned her into a scapegoat for a revolution centuries in the making? Born in 1755 in Vienna, Austria, Maria Antonia Josefa Joanna was the 15th child of Empress Maria Theresa and Emperor Francis I. Her childhood was one of imperial privilege, but also rigid dynastic duty. At just 14 years old, she was married off to the future King of France Louis XVI, a political alliance meant to solidify peace between Austria and France. She was renamed Marie Antoinette and shipped to a court where every breath, every gesture was scrutinized. She spoke little French, had no formal political education, and was immediately disliked by many French courtiers who saw her as a foreign intruder. At Versailles, she entered a world that was more theater than monarchy. Everything she did was public, even childbirth. But despite this pressure, she became a fashion icon. Her lavish dresses, silk gowns and gravity-defying wigs were not just personal indulgences, they were state expectations. Royals were meant to dazzle. Her wardrobe was part of the monarchy's image. But to the starving peasants outside the palace gates, these garments looked like mockery. Marie Antoinette's fashion became legend. She pioneered the chemise à la reine, a light muslin gown that scandalized the court for resembling underwear, but also democratized royal fashion. Ironically, this attempt to seem more natural and relatable only fueled the fire. Pamphlets called her harlot. Caricatures showed her partying while France crumbled. She was accused of affairs, lesbian orgies, and wasting the national treasury. But the truth, much of it was fiction. While the queen did spend extravagantly, her spending paled in comparison to the cost of France's wars, especially the American Revolution. The most famous phrase linked to Marie Antoinette, "Let them eat cake," is almost certainly a myth. The quote first appeared in a book by Jean-Jacques Rousseau when Marie Antoinette was just 10 years old. There is no historical record of her saying it. But in a time of bread shortages, rising prices and massive national debt, people didn't need evidence. They needed a villain. And Marie Antoinette, with her Austrian blood, extravagant image, and aloof demeanor fit the part perfectly. By the late 1780s, France was boiling over. Debt from wars, a regressive tax system, and growing class resentment lit the fuse. The Queen tried to push Louis toward reform, but he was indecisive, and her influence was limited. Her loyalty remained with the monarchy, not the people, and that made her a target. As revolution erupted, she was branded Madame Deficit. The lavish imagery once meant to glorify the crown now symbolized its disconnection from reality. In 1792, the monarchy was abolished. A year later, Marie Antoinette was imprisoned, put on trial, and executed by guillotine at the age of 37. Marie Antoinette's life has become a symbol, but for what exactly? To some, she represents the callous excesses of the ruling class, blind to suffering and obsessed with luxury. To others, she's a tragic figure, a misunderstood scapegoat caught between cultures and crushed by forces she couldn't control. Today, we see the echoes of her story in how we treat celebrity women, held to impossible standards, then torn down for stepping outside them. Her fashion, her femininity, her foreignness, all used as weapons against her. Marie Antoinette never said, "Let them eat cake," but in the eyes of a starving nation, she might as well have. Her fall was not just the end of a queen, it was a warning that when inequality festers, when image outweighs reality, and when truth is shaped by propaganda, history doesn't forgive, it revolts.